Philip and I are passionate about teaching about relationships, so that's why we are having this night. And I'm so glad that you came, and we are so honored that Jimmy is here with us. You're going to get some great wisdom from him. But we're passionate about teaching about relationships because the truth is most of us realize at the end of our life we are not going to be wishing perhaps we'd taken a different job or had one more car, but we're going to look back at the people that we did life with. We're going to look back at the relationships that we invested in and that we built. And I don't want to have that many regrets, right? So I'm doing what I can to put wisdom so that this marriage stays strong and lasts me till I see Jesus. Don't you think that's a good idea?
Good idea. This relationship right here.
But the thing about relationships is that they don't just happen. They don't happen because you want one. They don't happen because you hope to have one. They happen because you do the work to have one. You know, the Bible tells us that the goal is love. Right? The goal of the command is love. And it's love that comes from a pure heart. Mark 12:31, Jesus said this. He said, the second most important commandment says, love others as much as you love yourself. And the problem is, I actually think that we do. I think that most of us don't understand how loved we are by God. We don't understand who we are. We don't love who we are, so we're terrible at loving other people. So really, the foundation of any relationship has to be that you love yourself, that you love who you are, which is why I have to have my own relationship with God. Now, Philip, see, so many women, nobody in here I know because we're all perfect, but out there, like, so many women marry men thinking that they're going to save us. Like, men are awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome.
Is that what you
Awesome.
thought when we got married?
No. But, you know, men are awesome, but they're just not saviors. And my healthiest sense of self comes when I know that I'm loved by God. And my ability to actually love myself doesn't come from, like, I'm all that, but rather when I know that I'm worthy of the love of God. He loves me. You know, Philip is not responsible for my self-esteem. He's not responsible for how I see myself. I'm not responsible for his. He is. And listen, because none of us were raised by perfect people. Were you raised by two perfect parents who never did anything wrong? Right, none of us. So then we all have some stuff in our soul that we have to deal with. And when I am secure in who I am, then I do the work of getting over the issues of my own soul so that I can be a stronger part of a union. And when I am secure in who I am, when I love who God is creating me to be, then do you know what? I choose healthier people to surround myself with. You know, I think sometimes people accept someone when they're dating and then maybe ultimately marriage, they accept someone who doesn't treat them great simply because they don't understand how valuable they are. You know, now listen, there's no perfect guy out there. I mean, there's no perfect girl either. We're all on a journey. So if you're waiting for Mr. Perfect, you can forget that. But you don't have to settle for Mr. Way Below Average either, right? Like who you are worthy. Same with you guys, you are worthy. You are worthy. Wait for the woman who actually is beginning to have a healthy confidence in who God says that she is. I love being around people who are confident in who they are. Because you know what? Then they're not arrogant. You know, someone who actually has a healthy picture of who they are in God, they're not arrogant. They are humble. They can give because they know actually God's given them all that they need. They're just someone who has a healthy picture of who they are in God, they can actually laugh at themselves. Like here, giant red flag. If you're with someone who takes himself way too seriously, back away. Run. You want to be with someone's healthy in their soul, they can admit mistakes. We're going to practice this right now. Everybody in the room, all together, say, I'm sorry. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job. There you go. When someone is healthy in their soul, they can serve. When someone's healthy in their soul, they're not about drama. Come on. Throw away the drama. It's just someone who's healthy in their soul. And when you're healthy in your soul, when you're beginning to understand who you are in God, then you're actually not a needy person. Now, we all have needs, and in a marriage, we all have needs. But having needs asks, neediness demands. It's different. I mean, the truth is, God knows Philip needs me. He would never actually find where he's going. It's totally the truth.
How did I get here if
Yeah,
I drove
I don't
separately?
know. It's a miracle. Miracle
Waze.
tonight. Waze. Yeah. Okay. He needs Waze and Siri and me. Actually. So it's not that you don't have needs. God designed us to have needs, and we satisfy it in different ways. If you are in here and you're unmarried, then you satisfy that need by friends and by being a part of a church and by helping and being on a team and by connecting with people. And then obviously when you're married, then that is being satisfied with each other. Here's the thing. See, when you are confident in who you are, then you are contributing to something and not taking. And that's the place that we all want to get. And that's just the thought I'm going to leave you with. And then Philip's going to throw in a few thoughts here too. But wherever you are, if you're in here and you're single, then you do the work of understanding who you are in God. Because that will only bring strength to any relationship that you build. Amen.
How many of you in here tonight are married? Let me see your hands. All right. Married and energetic too. That's great. And so, how about single? Let's see the singles vote. Put your hand up. Look around. Let's see what you got to work with here in the room. A couple of years ago, eHarmony had an evaluation, and they came up with the highest percentage of people that met and got married that had a successful relationship. And my point is not to recommend or not recommend eHarmony, but Dr. Neil Clark Warren, who's the founder and a Christian author, a great man, he attributes those findings to the initial pre-qualifying process, like taking the time to get to know who that person is that you're going to pursue. And, I believe that you can have a great marriage in spite of the problems that we might have. But if you marry the right person, a great potential spouse, your chances of a healthy, great relationship are huge when you're picking the right individual. And sometimes we find ourselves drawn to people just because of the needs that we're facing and going through in our life. Dr. Henry Cloud said this. I really liked his statement. It says, when you choose someone at a time of incredible emotional need, we tend to idealize that person, and it greatly hinders our chance to make a good choice. So then you have to ask the question, how do you pick the right person? And while there's no specific right way to tell everybody to do it, an important thing for us to remember is that Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit. You will know them by their fruit. And so what that means to me is what is currently happening in someone's life will most likely continue to happen. And that's the fruit that you look at. What is currently happening will probably continue to happen. And so, people change and people grow. That's what church is all about. We've seen thousands of people change and grow. But what I notice also about people is that people also don't change or grow. And it's up to that person. And so that person who could change or grow, give them the chance to do it and watch. Because then if you see somebody who's the kind of person who has the humility, who has the willingness to change and grow, and they make those choices, then that's probably what would continue to happen as well. Somebody who's going to grow and really take things seriously in their life. There's this fairy tale that I'm sure you're all familiar with, and the movie came out a few years ago about, I think you're making extra noises.
I turned mine off. Okay. In case I have something to say.
Okay.
Oh.
Here, let me hold that. Okay. So anyway, I was making this great point when I got distracted, and it was this story of the Princess and the Frog, and it's based on that fairy tale where a princess finds this frog, and if you kiss the frog, it turns into a prince. And so I guess the message we give out from this story is that if you find somebody, your kiss, whether it's literal or metaphorical, could change who they are and qualify them. And I think love, enhances our life and improves our life, but that's really a weird story to communicate, and it's part of what Holly was discussing. And, we really believe that love works. Love changes us. Love improves our life. But we want to encourage you to look for some qualities that are beyond how much they make or how good looking they are or how popular they are. I mean, don't just marry somebody because they're a great kisser. I mean, that's what Holly did, and it turned out okay, but
you got that right, baby. You got that right.
Taking a big leap there of faith. But if I was to just suggest a couple of qualities that are crucial to a great relationship, because you'll hear it talked about down the road in how to save your marriage or improve your marriage or fix your marriage, one of the qualities would be the ability to communicate. But communicate about things that make a difference in the relationship. Being able to communicate about expectations or feelings or disappointments or needs, and being able to, sometimes you can date for a couple of years and talk all the time, but really not communicate. Yeah. And we have to learn how to hear what they're saying. I love that video about it's not about the nail.
It's not about the nail.
Because you're trying to learn to speak the language and hear the language of the person that you're with. And, Holly and I had to learn how to communicate with each other. And we were well into our marriage when we were really trying to learn this. And I had to learn to speak Holly, which is a lot faster and a lot more words than I'm used to. And she had to learn to speak Philip. And so a lot of times we figured out that women think hinting is a superior form of communication.
Yes.
And men don't understand hint. We don't speak hint. That goes over our head. And, Holly would get frustrated and she would say, well, if I have to tell you I need a hug, then it doesn't count. And so, she didn't have as much to count on as she wanted to. And I want to be a great husband. I want to meet the needs in her life. But I'm just like, tell me what you want, and I'll step up.
A hug.
And so we learned how to communicate those needs and those expectations. And we used to get stuck into these arguments. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in this situation where you're getting ready to go out somewhere. And when it's time to go or it's time that you need to be there, you get into this whole conversation. And I'm like, are you ready to go? And she's like, yeah. So to me, that means let's go get in the car, let's start it up. And so but I realize that when Holly says that she's ready, it doesn't actually mean she's ready like right now. It means general readiness.
And
And so I'm a little more literal than she is, and she's a little more creative.
yeah, just watch it, babe.
And I'm trying to think of the right word because you're standing right here. But so I would say, okay, 5 minutes. Is that how long? 5 minutes? And so she said, yeah. If she says yes, her 5 minutes is not really the same as my 5 minutes. It's not. It's still general. And so then we could continue to fight. And then one time she really communicated to me, and what she said was, the 5 minutes I'm talking about is the same 5 minutes you tell me is left in the football game on television. So I'm like, oh.
And there we have it. Amen.
I got it. With timeouts and commercials, that could be like 20. And so it helped our communication. And it's easy to laugh about it here and in this setting, but when you're in the midst of it, you find out all of the major problems in relationship, whether it's sexual or financial or emotional things, can be incredibly improved by communication. That is the key. And just the closing couple of thoughts for me is just
I think what's making that noise, everybody, there's a fan up there. See that big old fan up there?
Yeah.
You can't see it, but that's what's making the in your microphone. And if we turn it off, we'll all sweat, so just deal with it.
Okay.
Do you remember where you are?
Yeah. Oasis.
And here we go.
That's what Waze told me. But, another key quality, just a couple things. One is humility. And humility is that part of us where we're willing to take responsibility for something that we've done or not done. It's that openness to grow or to change. And if you are pursuing a relationship with somebody who's really difficult in admitting responsibility or failures or those kinds of things, then it will create greater problems. And so sometimes we don't think about that as a humility or pride, but being able to trust that the person that you are working on this relationship will hear you out, will listen to you, and that you're a safe person to talk to. That is key. And so when you're pursuing somebody and you watch them be difficult with others or aggressive with others, and you think, wow, sure, I'm glad they're not directing that to me. When you get married, they will direct it to you. And so those kind of qualities are crucial in a healthy relationship. And I just think the last thing that I would say that I mention a lot of times is just the quality about being a servant. Being able, and I think the term servant leadership is a great thing because you want both of these qualities, but just the willingness to help someone else. And there are times in marriage where Holly's saying, I'm not responsible for her happiness, or she's not responsible for my self-image, or those kinds of things. There are times in marriage where there are moments where it's just about serving the other person, and that you have to be fine with it. And it's not like keeping track or keeping score, and I did this week, you should do that next week. It comes down to serving each other and really believing in that makes a difference. So those are some of the qualities that we like to
But it's even about that. So if you're dating and the person that you're dating, are they serving anywhere? Like, are they serving at church? Did they help a friend move? Do they go to the airport and drop someone off? LAX, that's real servants. It's like, if they're not serving...
I think that's unreasonable right there, that last one.
Yeah, okay, that's like the top. But if they're not serving anywhere when they're just now, then they won't serve in a marriage either. So that's just one of those things to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So, good job, babe. Awesome. We're making it work.
Yeah, so if you can figure that stuff out, you might be able to last like 30 years or so, like we did.
Making it work.